Oh, forgot to plug in the mic. Give me 1 second. All right. Everyone should be able to hear me now. Okay. I was able to do the sound check on here, so it sounds like I can hear me pretty well and everything. So this is gonna be super duper quick. We're basically just going to cover this up right here and everything. This is where we kind of left off with the grinder. But as you can see, some of the flowers are still kind of raising up on the top because there's no resin covering the top. So although the bottom is holding everything down, because it's cured to the resin, you still can't really work on top of this. So we want an area that we can work on top of. So that's what we're about to do right quick. So I'm going to go ahead and mix up a little bit more resin. We're just going to make probably 20 milliliters. I think that'll be good for this. I've lost count of how much we have used so far. So if anyone happens to be keeping tally, feel free to let other people know. Alright, so to make the 20 milliliters, I'm using a 2-part epoxy. If you're new and you're just tuning in, this is the Marine Epoxy Resin by Aquasil. I'm going to add in 10 parts of the hardener first because it's thinner. Just makes it easier for me to stir and everything. And then I'm going to add in 10 milliliters of the resin portion. Now this one's thicker, so be careful not to over pour. Especially since we're working in such small amounts, it doesn't allow a lot of room for mistakes. Not with the measuring. Okay, almost there. Perfect. So now just gonna pop that lid back on and screw that back on there. If you're new here, my name is Courtney. I do a lot of different resin art, but I'm a crafter overall, and I do like a lot of different mediums and everything. Make sure you do subscribe to my channel because I do put out a lot of tutorials and stuff like that. I have a lot more content coming, as you can see by like the setup and stuff and me doing the lives now. I'm getting ready to come with you guys with a lot more content and stuff, and I hate for you to miss it. So make sure you are subscribed so you don't miss it. Alright, so I've started mixing this up a bit, but I want to go ahead and heat it up because I already see that it's starting to form some bubbles and stuff. And it is pretty cool in my room. So, you know, when the room is cooler, it's a bit more difficult for the resin to mix, just because it's so thick, and the heat will help to thin it out. So you can point it directly at the cup or you can point it inside the cup, it doesn't matter, but you do want to move it around so it doesn't overheat in one area. And you just want to continue stirring, go in a clockwise and counterclockwise motion. Make sure you scrape at the sides to get any resin and any unmixed resin and hardener that may be clinging to the sides or to the bottom. Yeah, keep rotating that cup around because, like I said, you don't want the heat to concentrate too much in one area. Okay, I'm going to take my alcohol spray bottle. I'm just going to spray the alcohol directly in there. I did 2 little pumps. And now I'm going to continue stirring and everything. So I want to make sure that this is nice and bubble free. So I'm pretty sure these flowers are already holding some air. And, you know, let's just make it easier instead of harder on ourselves. Alright, so I feel my resin getting super thin and everything, which is great. I love that. That's what I'm going for. And I'm also starting to see that the bubbles are like disappearing and everything too. So I'm gonna go ahead and turn that heat gun off. I'm gonna keep stirring just a tad bit more, but not too much. Oh, my cup's a little hot too. But I'm moving slowly. I'm trying to move a little bit more slowly now. Because as it begins to cool, it's going to re-thicken a bit. Not exactly how it was, at least not super quickly. But it is going to start to thicken as it cools. And then it's going to reheat again because, as you know, it causes like the whole exothermic reaction and stuff. So that's why you want to be careful not to overheat your resin as well, because it will cause flash curing if you're not careful. All right, so this is kind of what the resin's looking like. I hope you guys can see that well. Very few bubbles. And this is kind of how it's dripping out. You see how thin that is? And that's what you need. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and move this over to the side over here. Now I'm going to take my flowers, the side with the flowers anyway, and I'm going to take this resin, I'm going to concentrate it on top of the flowers. I'm just going to pour about half of it in there. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take my stir stick, and from here I'm just going to push the petals down how they were already laying. I'm not brushing them in any crazy motions or anything like that. I'm just kind of going with the flow of how everything naturally was, so that way it just kind of pushes the bubbles from underneath the petals. And this is also kind of, it can damage the flowers and the petals and the leaves. So you want to be careful not to scrape your popsicle stick too hard across your florals. So just be mindful of that. Uh-oh, you see what I mean? A little piece of my flower broke off. I'm going to try to push it back on over here. Yeah, just stay right there. Okay. It's a background piece now. Alright, so now I'm going to go on with the remaining resin and pour all 20 milliliters in here. You can scrape, but you want to be careful not to cause any bubbles. Okay. Try and get every drop of my resin out here. Okay. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to make sure all my petals and stuff are like kind of submerged into this resin. I'm going to make sure there aren't any like bubbles trapped in here. I'm going to touch all my edges to make sure we have a nice even border going around as well, because we're going to want a very smooth surface for our next step, because we are not finished yet, guys. I'm going to be popping on probably later today to show you guys how we're going to finish this off. And we're going to be using some foils and like some kind of like metallic stickers. So I'm excited to show you guys those. It's things that we've worked with before, but yeah, we're going to do it live. We're going to do it live. And that's the fun about this. All right, so now that I make sure I have everything pushed down and even, this purple flower is just really being a rebel. It's because it still has some air in there. So if you see leaves that are just like coming up no matter what you do type thing, it's probably still some air in there and you probably need to push it down a tad bit more. Okay. You can kind of look off to the side to see if you see anything coming up off the surface, because since this is clear, it can be kind of difficult to tell. But once you do have it to your liking, what you're going to do is just take your spray bottle and we're going to mist it, a quick little blast, and then that should be enough. Let me do one more. Okay, yeah, 2 was enough. So now I'm going to leave that and we're just going to let this sit here. Hey, Mac, thank you. Okay, I'm trying to get over here into the chat. Great. I'm so happy I could inspire you. Cancer resin art is so easy once you break it up into layers and everything. Like, you can do pretty much anything that you want. Pretty much anything. Okay, I saw something on the surface, so I just pulled that off using a toothpick. So if that ever happens, you can use a toothpick to pull off anything that you see. But okay, so this was labeled part 2.5 because it was just so easy. It was really just me adding 20 milliliters of the resin into the side that had the florals in it, and then also showing you how to release the bubbles from the flowers and things like that. So if you're just popping in here, you can rewind and catch that part, because I am going to go ahead and wrap this up. But I am going to be coming back later today. I'll probably be back on in a few hours before my son gets out of school, because I got on here pretty early today. It's not even 10 yet, 10 a.m. 10 a.m. yet where I'm at. So we're on here really early and everything, which is good. So that means I'll be able to pop in here on the second layer and do it pretty easily, because the second layer, we are going to need it to be pretty firm before we're able to go on. So this surface isn't going to be able to be tacky. So yeah, and thank you guys so much for joining me. Again, make sure you do hit the subscribe button and hit the notification bell, so that way you're notified when I do hop on here, because I am hopping on here sporadically. I do not have exact times because they do not work well for me. So thank you guys for joining me again, and I will catch you later. Bye, hippies.